Well, hey there, guys. I'm Axel Beast of ZeldaDungeon.net, and I want to talk to you about Ganon. Ganondorf, whichever you want to call him or believe he should be called. For clarification, Ganondorf is typically the name of the guy. It's his real name. Ganondorf Dragmire, if you believe non-canon American translation mess-ups. I don't even know what to call them. They're just weird. And typically, Ganon is the name of the beast form, the pig creature he turns into. Or just a nickname for the guy. Call him Ganon for short, because Ganondorf is a little longer to pronounce. Hence, nicknames. The title, and you better laugh, because I thought it was hilarious, and I spent some time thinking it up. It's because I want to talk about some, problems with Ganon. Now, that's not to say I have any problem with Ganon himself. Ganon is great. I mean, I'm not knocking him at all. He's a great villain, he's really interesting. I mean, look at that. He's cool. He's a really cool, awesome villain. He looks scary, and he's a really hardcore guy, kicking butt all over the place. He's a cool villain. I don't think there's anyone who doesn't like him. Pig or human, whether he's in the pig form in the older games or, the recent human stuff, he's really interesting. He's scary a lot of the time. Look at him in Twilight Princess. That guy. Wow, I don't... even in the games where he's very monstrous, I think he was actually scariest in Twilight Princess, just because of the way he was, his attitude. And maybe that godlike stuff they did with him, too, I don't know. But, he just had this very ominous feel to him. And whether, he's also interesting and really intriguing in games like The Wind Waker, where he has his full story. I was shocked at the depth to his character in Wind Waker, to be honest. In Wind Waker he had a human side, and then in games like Twilight Princess, or perhaps the older titles, he had a very monstrous side, It was kind of interesting stuff, and he's also got a good personality. He's the evil villain, but in Ocarina of Time, he had a bit of an honorable attitude to him. Same in Wind Waker. Whereas in Twilight Princess, it seems like he's degraded more into an inhuman man. You knew what I meant. But that said, I think he's been abused. Not that there's a problem with him, but there's a problem about what's been done with him. I think he's been abused a bit. He needs to be treated right, He's such an awesome character, you can't let him go to waste. In Twilight Princess, oh, there I go again, talking about Twilight Princess. You'll have to bear with it. In Twilight Princess, he kind of came out of nowhere, in my opinion. Yes, they built up some stuff with him. They mentioned him earlier. They didn't build up his character. They didn't do a good job, in my opinion, of establishing him as the main villain. They did kind of a final boss swap at the end, which can be interesting, but in general, that's kind of a storytelling no-no from what I've seen, and it just kind of seems random. A lot of people probably expected he was going to be the villain, but I still think they spent so much time building up Zant that when they added Ganon in to replace him, it kind of hurt both characters. I actually thought Zant was kind of interesting, and it would have been more so if he was left on his own. Whereas Ganon was awesome in that game, but not built up enough to be his own villain. And of course, I don't even know if this needs to be said, but there's CDI and the Zelda cartoon Ganons. Okay, maybe that's a little harsh, because, the cartoon Ganon was actually kind of cool. He, there was a lot of things wrong with that game, especially, things like that, but at least he looked cool, though he did still have the, oh no you didn't, finger snap teleporting thing, and, of course, I don't think I even need to say what was wrong with CDI Ganon. It didn't even look cool, it didn't even sound that cool, and, you dare come into my lair? And whatever. But, there's just, those don't need to be said, but even in games like Twilight Princess, I feel that they didn't do what they could have done with them. Maybe that's just one game, and maybe it's not really going to happen again. So, I might be, having no point in even talking about this. He's also been there's a little problem with him being overused a bit. Not that you can't use him too much. He's awesome. But, it's that I don't have a problem with the frequent appearances, or even always appearances, like if he was in every single game. It's that it's enhanced by not being overdone. when you give him a break, he stays fresh. That's not to say that that's the only way to keep him fresh. They just need to do something new. Zant, when he was put in as a minion of Ganondorf, was not really so much different from Aganon, or, other villains like Ganon or Onyx, Well, maybe they don't care. But, you just having the subordinate of Ganon, who you think is the villain, and then, uh-oh, Ganon's the big guy behind him. That's been done. So when they did it with Zant, it's just something they've done before. It wasn't anything new, and I don't know, they need to try new ideas with him. I don't have a problem with them using him a lot, but they can't just do the same old thing and make him not interesting, He's too cool for that. There was also the Oracle games, his appearance in those, in which, you beat the game, and the main plot involved either General Onyx or Varen, the Sorceress of Shadows, as the villain. And, if you do the Link game, where you use passwords between the two, and then you beat, the game, you fight Twin Rova, and they were apparently trying to revive Ganon, and then you fight Ganon. The thing with that is, it's more of a cameo. It wasn't like Ganon was the main villain, he was like a cameo thing at the end. I don't mind that as much, nor do I mind his somewhat lackadaisical appearances in, more side games like Four Swords Adventures, because that's different. It's a side game, or it's a cameo. It doesn't need the depth of the other stuff, So that's a little different. After all this said, I think Ganon probably won't be in Skyward Sword, because, I've talked about that. Why? Because, he can't exist without the Master Sword, covers the origins of the Master Sword, etc. It could be a different Ganon, but I don't really think so. But I think it's okay that he doesn't appear. As long as the villain they choose is good, and, they've had good villains before to replace, well, not replace, but stand in for Ganon. And, as long as Ganon is done proper in his next appearance, which will happen, don't worry, guys, I don't have a problem with seeing him go for a little while. I actually think, as I said, it can, even if they keep doing original stuff, it can enhance him, because it just, if you see him all the time, you're gonna get even if you love him, you're gonna get a little tired of him, probably. Whereas, if he doesn't appear for a little while, he'll be enhanced and better the next time you see him. Show Ganon the love. He deserves it, guys? Alright, that's all I gotta say. Tell me what you think, and what you think of Ganon. Later, guys.